go. Please make sure that if you have any zeros in the grade book, that you have checked the pile next to the bowl over there are some papers that have come in with their names. So I don't know who to, give credit for those. So if you've got any zeros in there, take care of that. All right. Guess what? We're going to pick up right where we left off yesterday, and we are going to go over our practice test. I will do a quiz question. I'll do one now, and then if you have other questions, you can come in during office hours. Anybody you got your quizzes back from yesterday, and you missed something and you're not quite sure what happened? Anybody have those questions? Same questions are on the practice test. All right, let's go then. We're ready for number 6, I think, huh? On the first practice test, number 6. So here we go. Try to stay focused, guys. I can see by the looks on your faces, some of you wish you were somewhere else. I can't imagine that personally, but try to remember we got a test coming up. So we're gonna laser focus. Write the equation of a line containing these 2 points. And I'm going to add, there's no directions there, I'm going to add, let's put our answer in slope-intercept form. That's how we've been doing it. So it's going to be just the same as we've been doing it. Let's put our answer in that form. Final answer. All right, what do we do first? Find the slope. So the slope, and we got to get this right, folks. Slope is 15 minus 3 over 2 minus negative 2. So y minus y over x minus x. So I got 12 over 4, which is 3. Now what? You're not done. What now? Pick a point. I'll just use this one. It doesn't matter. Pick a point. So y minus the y coordinate equals slope times x minus the x coordinate. So y minus 3 equals 3x plus 6. I got 3x plus 9. Anybody else get that as an answer? All right, any question about that? Because we're going to do another one now. B is the same directions, right? The equation of the line. But this time, we want to be perpendicular to this one, and then the point is negative 2, 1. What does perpendicular mean to the algebra student? Opposite reciprocal slope, right? So we need to find the slope of this line. How are we going to find the slope of that line? What do we have to do to that equation? Get y by itself, right? We gotta get y by itself. So I'm gonna move the x over, and you can put it wherever. I put it at the beginning here, subtracting 2x, but you can say 6 minus 2x if you want. It doesn't make any difference. One more step though. Y has to be completely by itself, right? So we're gonna have to divide by negative 1. So y equals 2x minus 6. Now, what does that tell me? Why did I do that? Why did I do that? Now I have a slope of 2. If the question were a parallel question, then I would use 2. But it's a perpendicular question, so what slope am I going to use? Negative 1 over 2. Remember, you flip it over and make it negative. So this slope is 2 over 1. So it flips over and makes negative one, or makes 1/2, and then I make it negative, right? All right, so now I'm ready to do exactly what I did over here. This is my only point, so I have to use it. Y minus 1 equals negative 1/2 x minus negative 2. So y minus 1, now I'm going to distribute here, just like I always do. Negative 1/2 x, what is negative 1/2 times 2 over 1? What does that end up equaling? Negative 1. And then, oh my goodness, when I add 1, do I just get negative 1/2 x? Do the 1's cancel? When I add to both sides? That's okay, that could be. Huh? You absolutely can put plus 0. Yep, absolutely. If that is what you want to do and that makes sense to you, that is very fine. Totally fine. All right, now we've got, write the equation of the circle. Okay, so the problems that we just did, guys, are writing the equations of lines. And so that's when we use point slope, get y by itself, all that stuff, okay. That's lines. Does anybody remember what a circle equation looks like? Well, pi r squared is the area of a circle. So if I needed to know the area of my circle, I absolutely could do it. I know the radius is 4, so pi r squared would be 16 pi. That would be the area of the circle. That isn't quite the question, Gio, but you could certainly do that. All right? Well, this is one of those very simple problems if you know what you're doing. The equation of the circle is x minus 6 squared plus y plus 2 squared equals 16. We did these back in, I don't know what section it was, but we did these, and that's what the equation of a circle looks like. So how did I write this part? What did I do for this part?
Just plug in the
X minus 6, right? And then y minus negative 2, so it changed to a plus. So these are the opposite of what that was. And then where do you think the 16 came from? 4 squared. That's exactly right. So this can be a 10-second problem if you take the time to review what the equation of a circle looks like. There's absolutely no work involved, but you gotta know what you're shooting for. So x minus 6 squared, y minus negative 2 squared, and r squared. All right, last page, almost done. Simplify. Okay, look at it carefully. And what are some things that you can see that need to be done? Okay, so I heard somebody say distribute this up here, and I heard somebody say we got a negative, so let's take care of that. When you square up here, you're gonna have 9x squared. Would everybody agree with that? If I squared both of those, I'm gonna have my y. And then this guy is going to the top, because when you have negative exponents, they move. So it was in the bottom, it's going to the top. Perfect. I think that's a great way to start. Can I reduce 9 and 6? Just like regular math, kids, it's nothing tricky. 3 over 2. Now let's look at our x's. Whenever you have x's on top of x's, some are going to cancel out. So when you start canceling out these x's, you're going to have some extras. Where are the extras going to be? On the bottom. And how many extras will there be? 2's got an x squared on the bottom. Now, the y's aren't going to cancel because you don't have them on the top and the bottom. You just have to combine them. How many y's do we have? Done. Absolutely done. Remember, the test is going to look just like this. Kendrick, you paying attention? You working hard? Trying to stay awake? Okay. Remember, we have a test coming up. Okay. All right, I'm going to give you this just like I did on the paper. Problem A says, okay, write the equation for this problem. So read the question and tell me what our equation's going to look like. I'm going to put H here. You're allowed to do that. If you want to leave it that way, you can. If you want to make it Y, you can. I'm going to call it H. All right, tell me what else now. Remember, you have to plug in this and this. That's all you have to do for question A. So what is it? What does this stand for?
Velocity.
Initial velocity. Read the question, guys.
30.
That's 20. And what does this stand for? Initial height, where we start. Where does the ball start? It starts at 30. That's it. That's all there is to question A. Write the equation you're going to use. Now, you're going to use that equation for all the rest of the problem. So remember, when you use this equation, the question is either going to give you a height, a number to put in here, or it's going to give you a time, a number to put in here. So read question B. When does the ball hit the ground? Do I know the height or the time if the ball is on the ground? I know the height is 0. So I'm going to let my height be 0. And I'm going to solve that equation. Now, how do I solve an equation like that? Probably the quadratic formula would be the best, easiest route. Certainly not the only route, but the easiest route. So here we go. T equals, I have a calculator. I'm going to use my calculator to help me with all this arithmetic, so I'm not worried. Negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Now, you can do this however you want. I like to always work this out first. So I know 20 squared is 400. You may need to type that in, that's fine. So 400 minus 4 times negative 16 times 30. Who did you get? 2320? Now there's 2 answers there. Do you recognize that? You have negative 20 plus square root of 2320 over negative 32. And then you have negative 20 minus the square root of 2320 over negative 32. Do you see that because of the plus or minus? We have 2 answers. All right, so I'm going to type this in. I'll do the top one first. So negative 20, make sure you're using your negative, plus the square root of 2320, it equals, and then divided by negative 32. Oh gosh, I got negative 0.88. Anybody else get that, or should I type it back in? For the top one? Okay, some of us don't even have a calculator out. Did you get that? Thank you. Remember, I mean, you have to do this on the test, so practice, practice, practice. Gabby, blame me, got your calculator out? All right, let's do the second one now. Negative 20 minus the square root of 2320 equals divided by negative 32. I got 2.13 for that one. You do not have to do this, but keep in mind, this ball started on top of a building, you threw it up and it came down. The question says, when does the ball hit the ground? There's only one answer to this question. Which one of those is it? Negative 0.88 or 2.13? 2.13. It is a time. Time can't be negative, right? So we're gonna throw that one out. And the answer is 2.13 seconds. You do not need to draw a picture. I was hoping that would help you see what's going on. When is the ball on the ground? Let H be 0. Height is 0 if the ball is on the ground. All right, last question on this one. How high is the ball after 1.5 seconds? Now remember, this is your equation right here. What are you going to do with the 1.5? Plug it in for t. So c is just going to be negative 16, 1.5 squared, plus 20, 1.5, plus 30. That's it. Just plug in 1.5 for every t. So let's see if you can do this and get the right answer. I got a nice round number. I got 24 feet. But I could be wrong. I'm going to wait and see if anybody matches me. Typing this in right here. Just straight type it in. Anybody else get 24? Yeah? Good. And that's feet. So we're going to put a label on it, 24 feet. So between yesterday and today then, we have finished the first practice test. So let's start the second one. See if we can get it done today so we can do our third one next time. Anybody have a question about this ball problem before I get it all erased? Okay. Practice test 2. Remember, same exact problems in a different order. So this one starts off with the properties. Here we go. Anybody know what A is? No, close. We really don't have any subtraction properties. We call this the additive inverse because what happens when you add 15 and negative 15? They cancel. And when things cancel, it's an inverse problem. And since we are adding, it's additive inverse. How about B? Take a look at B. What do you think there? That's associative. Very good. And it's associative of addition because it's an add problem. This is all stuff I handed out. And what about C? Bingo, multiplicative inverse. You do not need to write that word. You can write MULT. That's fine. just so it indicates you're multiplying, and it's an inverse. Why is it an inverse? Because 15 and 115 cancel each other out, right? Okay. 6x squared minus x minus 2. All right, 3 equations to solve here. They're all different, but you know how to do them. I'm 100% sure you know how to do them. Look at this equation. See that right there? What kind of an equation is this? Quadratic? X squared is quadratic. How do we solve quadratic equations? You have choices. You can either quadratic formula, my personal favorite. You could also complete the square. This one will have fractions in it, but if you want to complete the square, you can. And you can also try to factor. So sometimes you can just kind of look at it and say, oh, that factors. Sometimes it's a little harder. Anybody see this, a factoring for this one? I don't want to waste a bunch of time figuring it out. Let's just use the quadratic formula. Are you okay with that? X equals, some of you still don't know it. You don't learn, so it's going to be, now be careful, b is already -1, isn't it? So negative b is going to be 1 plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So a is 6, c is -2. So again, I like to figure this out first. You have a calculator if you need it. I think that's 49. Is it 49? That's 48, 1 plus 48, yep, 49. And what's the square root of 49? 7. So we aren't going to stop here. This one can be simplified. That's a 7. So now we do 1 plus 7 over 12 and 1 minus 7 over 12. All right, what's 1 plus 7? 8 over 12 reduces by 4s, 2/3. One minus 7 is -6, so that one's -1/2. So we got 2 nice, neat little answers. That doesn't happen a lot. And by the way, I don't know if I shared this with you or not, maybe you already know it. When you get answers like this, nice, neat answers, no radicals, it means your problem did factor. So this guy does factor if we would have taken the time to try to figure it out. All right, any question about that? All right, I'm gonna draw my number line. And I know there's gonna be 2 numbers on the number line, because when I do an absolute value problem, I split it up into 2 problems, and each one is going to have an answer. So the 2 problems are x plus 2 is greater than 7. Remember, the first one is just exactly like the problem, except you take out the absolute value. And then what do I do with the other one? X plus 2 less than -7. So you turn the sign around and make it negative. So x is greater than 5, then I just solve these, so subtract 2, subtract 2. That tells me where the dots are on my number line, right? The dots are at 5 and -9. This is a greater than problem, it's an or problem. And since it's a greater problem and I have two dots, where am I going to shade? Out? So here and here. And then just like on your paper here, there's an answer blank. And in the answer blank, you're going to write the interval negative infinity, -9, parentheses on both, union 5 infinity, and that's what goes in the answer blank. Okay with that one? All right, who remembers what to do with this guy? Ooh, do not forget, this is like 2/1. They're all fractions, even the 2. Common denominator. Now, you've got some choices here. What common denominator would you like to use? 24? Somebody else might want to use 12. Is it going to matter in the end? No. If I use 12, my numbers will be smaller, so I'm going to go ahead and use 12. But you could use 24, that's fine. 12, I'm going to times this one by 3. This one by 2. Notice I'm putting in parentheses, those are important. And this one by 12. All my denominators are now 12. So I'm just going to write the numerators. Distributing 6x minus 3 plus 2x minus 4 equals 24. If you used a different common denominator, your numbers will look a little different, but in the end, you'll get my same answer. Everybody okay with this? So 8x minus 7, if I remember, here's the wall, so I gotta combine all these, so 8x minus 7. Oh my goodness. Did you get 31/8? That's okay. Those are the kind of answers that come up when Mrs. Ford makes up problems. You get weird things like that. All right, what do you think? You okay with that? Guys, we can do this, right? We can do this. Practice, practice, practice. Let's start off with an A on our first test. Okay, whoa, we have some more solves. All right. So, who has a plan for problem A? Anybody? Factor. Now, let's back up. See that squared? What does that mean? That's a quadratic. X squared is quadratic. And whenever you have an x squared, what can you do? Quadratic formula, complete the square, or factor, or try to factor. Not everything factors. This one does. This is an easy factor. Minus 4 minus 1. If you don't see that, remember, I'm not taking the test for you, you do it by yourself. So if you can't do that, then you're going to use the quadratic formula or complete the square. Because your objective is to find the dots that go on the number line. X squared means 2 answers, 2 dots. How you get them doesn't matter. I got them from factoring because that's fast. but you could do the quadratic formula or complete the square and get the same 2 dots. Notice I colored those dots in, oh, by the way, they're 1 and 4, right? 1 and 4. I colored them in because they're equal to. When I have 2 dots on the number line, I either shade out or in. Look at the problem. This is a less than problem, so I'm going to shade in. And then I write my answer in the answer blank using brackets, 1, 4. How's come this one doesn't have infinities like the last one did? I didn't go out, right? If I shade out, that's where the infinities are, right? I didn't shade out there, I just shaded in here. So it's just 1, 4. Anybody have a question about that? Okay, here's one of the easiest problems on the test. What do you do with this guy? Square both sides. You just gotta remember to square both sides, guys. So you have x minus 2 equals 25. Remember to make that 25. And so x equals 27. Now I'm gonna check that. What's 27 minus 2? 25, and the square root of 25 is 5. I'm done with this problem. In the answer blank goes x equals 27. Nope. The only time you're gonna get points off is if you got a bad answer, like an extraneous root, you didn't check it, so you went ahead and put that in the answer blank, then you're gonna miss points. But as long as it's a good answer, nope. Okay, now we got the big one. We struggled with this one a little bit yesterday. Let's see if we have better luck with this. See how long this problem is? This has more terms. This is a big, long problem. So what strategy did we use yesterday, Brennan? We grouped it. So I'm gonna give you an easy grouping problem. I'm not gonna give you anything fancy, so you're just gonna look at the first 2 terms. What can we take out of the first 2 terms? X squared. And then we're gonna write down what's left. So if you take out an x squared, what would we have left? X plus 3, perfect. Now, look at these 2. What? Negative 4, we're gonna take out the negative 4. Now guys, don't get confused. You took out the negative. So aren't these both gonna be positive now? Because you took out the negative? And this is really good news because they match. So what else do we have? What goes in the second parentheses? X squared minus 4. And what do we know about x squared minus 4? It's the difference of
X plus 2,
very good. The difference of squares, x plus 2, x minus 2. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. No number line, no shading. It's an equals problem. So what does x equal? Negative 3, negative 2, and 2. Guys, I think we're at the point when we shouldn't have to write this out, but if you have to write it out, write it out. You set all those equal to 0 and solve. That's how you get negative 3, negative 2, and 2. Alrighty. Any question about that? Another little problem 3 is solving more equations. Yeah, sincere?
You know, when you do the x squared minus 4, like how you know you're supposed to move the x squared to the, like,
X plus 2, x minus 2.
Yeah.
Well, you should always factor completely if that's the way you're doing the problem by factoring. So, since that factors, we should factor it. Now, If you didn't factor it, if you set this equal to 0, x squared minus 4 equal to 0, you could still get the answers as long as you remembered to do the plus or minus when you square rooted it. Okay? So your ultimate objective is to get the answers. So if you can get them from here, that would be okay. Anybody else have a question about these? All right, let's look at the next one. These are our complex numbers problems. What are we gonna do with this? Distribute the negative. So minus 6 minus I. And then combine like terms, so negative 2 minus 3i. Is that okay? Now the next one is it's not hard, but it's gonna take us a little more effort here. Who remembers how to do this? Sincere?
I can do 2 plus 3i.
On the top and the bottom. So this is gonna become a big FOIL. We are gonna multiply the top and the bottom by what we call the conjugate of the denominator. So since the denominator is 2 minus 3i, we're multiplying by 2 plus 3i. Sit up. Don't lean, don't lounge, sit up. It's easier to pay attention. All right. Okay, let's start foiling. First, outside, inside, last. First, outside, inside, last. All right, I hope I foiled correctly. What do I do after I get all these things foiled? Combine like terms, but as I'm combining, I remember that I squared is -1, so this actually becomes -9. That can combine with the 8 and give me -1. Then these two are just straight up like terms. So this one is -9i squared, so that will become a plus 9. 4 plus 9 is 13, those cancel. Right? Now, these are the kind, absolutely nothing simplifies here. I don't think anybody would try anything here. But these are the kind that sometimes we make mistakes with. So if we had this isn't what happened, but if this happened, don't cancel the 9 into the 18. Because remember, the rule is you have to cancel in all 3 spots. So even though 9 and 18 have something in common, you still can't cancel anything in that problem. Okay, so don't do it. Good job, that was a big one. Anybody have any question about that? Whoa, okay, next page, here we go. Here's our exponent problem. Oh my gosh, you guys, I know you're bored. I know you are. But, we're practicing for a test. Come on. Try to get, I mean, if you don't want to go through this again, we can test tomorrow or Thursday. If you don't think we need more review. All right, here we go. We got another exponent problem. What do you notice about this one? We got another negative, right? So if you want, again, I don't care, you can do this different ways. but I like to get rid of this negative, so I'm gonna have that 3y cubed is gonna go to the top. So this guy right here is coming up to the top. Can I cancel 4 and 12 into 1/3? Now look at your x's, guys. Think about the situation. They're on top of each other. So some are going to cancel. Not all of them, right? There are gonna be some leftovers. Where are the leftovers gonna be? On the bottom, and there's gonna be 5 of them left over. Now the y's, none of them cancel. So we have to just combine them. So we have 8 and 3, so that makes a total of 11. As it turns out, this 1 here we put, not necessary. Don't have to have it, but if you want, I mean, it's fine. It's fine. It doesn't have to be there, but it's fine. Here's the question that takes 10 seconds. If you know what you're doing. There is no work to show. You either know how to write the equation or you don't. We just did this a couple minutes ago. Anybody brave remember? Gabe?
Isn't it x minus 2, y plus 1 equals 25?
Okay, he's very close. There's a couple of pieces missing here, but he's got the bones
Oh,
there.
it's squared.
These gotta be squared. And then there's one more thing missing. Right here's the plus, yep, yep. That's it, very good. That's the equation of the circle, right there. That's all there is to it. And that problem is done. Good job, thank you, Gabe. All right, now we're gonna write the equation of lines. Miss Ford, we already did this today. Yep, we sure did. We're practicing it again. Write the equation of the line. Okay, step 1. Ayrton, sit up, sit up. Taylor, sit up. All right, Ayrton, what do you think? How do we start to write the equation of a line? Gabby, get your head up.
6 minus 4 over 1 minus 2.
What are you doing? You're finding the slope? And you're doing it exactly right. 6 minus 4, 1 minus 2. If you do 6 minus 4, you gotta do 1 minus 2. Okay? So what do we end up with? A slope of -2? All right. Jocelyn, what happens now? We pick a point, so it doesn't matter, I'll just pick this one. And then y minus the y coordinate equals slope times x minus the x coordinate. Everybody with me? So then I'll distribute. And add 4, the 4's do not cancel, please don't cancel them. We get -2x plus 8 as the equation of our line. Any question about that? Any question about 7a? We got it? All right, B is a continuation of the same sort of thing, but this time we want to be parallel to this. Now, what does parallel mean to me in terms of writing equations of lines?
Same slope.
Same slope. So step 1 is get your slope. And And how do we get our slope?
Get one
Get y
by itself.
by itself. So I'll subtract 6x. Divide by -3. Is this slope 2? Did I do that right? So since we're parallel this time, remember on the last test, we were perpendicular? Now we're parallel, so we're just gonna stick with the 2. Y minus -3 equals 2x minus 2. Take a second and see if that's what you end up with. Any question about that? You're doing great, we're almost done. Doing great. Okay. Now we have our projectile motion problem. So once again, the formula is right there for you. But question A is write the equation for this particular problem. So h equals -16t squared, that part never changes. Now what?
8. 8
Plus 80t. And plus 20. Hey, let's make sure we get those in the right spot. Remember, the number in this spot is the velocity. So that's feet per second. And the number in this spot is the height. So that's just feet. Don't get those two numbers mixed up. It's easy. Plug in velocity, which is speed right here, and height there. Everybody okay with that? Okay, that's a problem. You get points for that. Good job. All right, now, how high is the ball after 1 second? What? Plug in 1 for t. And it's 1, so it's easy, but you've got a calculator if you need it. I got 84 feet, but I'm gonna let somebody double check that because I did it kind of fast. Does everybody understand why we plugged in 1 for t? Because it was 1 second, that's a time. Is 84 right? When is the ball on the ground? So part C, sounds familiar. When is the ball on the ground? Here's your equation. You're gonna plug a number in here or a number in here. Last time we plugged it in here. When is the ball on the ground? What, something 0, what 0? The height is 0, right? If you're on the ground, your height is 0. So 0 equals -16t squared plus 80t plus 20. That is a scary looking equation, I agree. We need to solve it. We'll stop after this one. Let's solve it. How do you want to do that? How do you want to solve that equation? Quadratic formula, absolutely. So t equals -b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. I have done the quadratic formula so many times. You haven't done it as many times as me, so you might want to write it down. before you can write it down, you gotta memorize it, so those of you that still don't have it learned. All right, I'm gonna figure out what's under my radical. So 80 squared minus 4 times negative 16 times 20. I got 7680. You didn't? Let me try it again. 80 squared minus 4 times negative 16 times 20. 7680. How many answers do we have up here? 2. So negative 80 plus the square root of 7680. And negative 80 minus the square root of 7680. Just remember as you're typing these in that after you type in your top, you have to hit equals and then divided by. So negative 80 plus the square root of 7680 equals divided by negative 32. Got another negative. I don't think that's right. Let's try the other one. Negative 80 minus the square root of 7680. Oh, that one looks better. I got 5.24. Why did I throw out the negative answer? Why did I just cross that out? And have negative time. The unit on that would be seconds. When does the ball hit the ground? So the answer is 5.24 seconds. All right. So tomorrow, I don't see you tomorrow. Thursday, we will finish up our practice. And then on Friday, we'll take the test. Now, those of you